What is going on to all my Severance fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. After many requests, I mean DMs and people commenting on previous reviews saying, Elliot, what are you doing? Why aren't you watching the show? This is right up your alley. Well, I'm happy to announce that I finally sat down and I have caught up to all 7 episodes that have premiered on Apple TV Plus, and I'm going to talk about my thoughts on those 7 episodes. But also, if you were like me and hadn't seen Severance, is it worth checking out? Well, I'm going to let you all know here in this breakdown review, but before we dive into it all, make sure you're checking me out on all my other social media accounts. If you're new to the channel and love early movie reviews, TV breakdowns, and live streams, well, come and join the community by subscribing and hitting that notification bell. As you can see on the screen now, if you enjoyed this review, well, give it a thumbs up and also share it to anyone and everyone you know that might be interested in this type of series. But more importantly, if you have seen Severance, let's talk about it. What is it that you love the most about the show based on the first 7 episodes? Who's your favorite character? What's your favorite plot? What's your favorite episode? What are some things that maybe haven't worked for you so far, and of course what you hope to see in the weeks ahead? And then for all those people that are new to Severance, they haven't gotten it a chance, what was it that was holding you back? And based on this review, will you give it a chance? Let's talk about that in the comments below. So speaking of giving it a chance, listen, I know I'm 7 weeks late to the party, but I finally arrived, and there's many reasons. Like, the number one reason I wasn't watching it when it was on, you know, for the last 7 weeks, as you all know that's been part of this community, I watch about 4 to 5 shows a week that I break down on top of new movies coming to the theaters with streaming on different streaming services. So it's just, unfortunately, it just wasn't enough time in the day for me to add this to the schedule. But luckily, with shows like Raised by Wolves and Servant, which is on Apple TV Plus, which just ended last Friday, I had some time on my hands, and I took that time to watch the 7 episodes. And again, the way I want to handle this review, the first few minutes, I'm just going to give you my brief thoughts on the show. This is a non-spoiler thoughts on the show. So for those that haven't seen Severance, what is it about? Is it worth my time? That's what I'm going to be addressing in the first half of this video. The second half will be a spoiler discussion. What have I loved about the show? What hasn't worked for me in the show? And of course, what I hope to see in the new episode coming this Friday. So that's how we're going to handle it. I'm going to leave time codes in the description. So with that being said, non-spoiler thoughts begin now. So for those that aren't too familiar with Severance, check it out. It's worth your time. It is on Apple TV Plus, and I have been a huge fan of Apple TV Plus since the 2019 when it first started. I've covered like heavily most of their shows, most of their movies. I'm a big fan. It's one of the best streaming platforms out there. They don't have the same amount of you know, quantity of a Netflix, but they have just as much quality if you ask me. But neither here nor there. The synopsis of Severance is, as I say here, the concept is super awesome. So you have this company by the name of Lumen. Lumen is very private, so much so that if you are an employee for this company, they have this severance program. And it's essentially where they put a chip in your brain, and when you go down to work, you go on the elevator and you hit a certain point, you just know everything about what you do on a day-to-day basis. From your 9 to 5 hours working there, that's all you know. You have no knowledge of what you do on the outside. If you're married, if you have kids, if you have a dog, you don't know that. You're just all about the company. Then when the time hits at 5 o'clock and you go up to a certain point in the elevator, you don't know anything you did for the last 8 hours. You just know that you work for this company. It's public knowledge that this is something that people do for a living, so it's not like a super secret thing. But what the secret is okay, what are those employees doing for those 8 hours? And that's the big mystery to this show. So just off the bat, the concept alone, if it doesn't sell you, I don't know what to say. That alone just got me super intrigued. But then diving deeper into what makes this show special to me, the writing is absolutely incredible. Just from that synopsis, you have so many different things you could touch on. And the thing that really kind of impacted me just based on the first episode, which just hooked me right away, why would someone put themselves in that situation? Meaning that why would someone willingly lose their memories for what they do for a living and then not want to know what they do for a living when they're not at work? That alone is so interesting to me, because we've all been in the position, whether it's us individually, our partners in life, our family and friends, we all know those people that come home from work and all they have to do is talk about work. That's all they do, whether it's good or bad. Most of the time it's bad stuff, right? Like, this person, you won't believe what they did to me at work or whatnot, but they're always talking about work. So the idea that there's a show where you don't come home and talk about work because you don't know what the hell you do for a living, whether it's curing cancer or killing people for a living, you don't know. So that just fascinates me just in itself, and the way the show handles these different characters. Have our lead character, who is Mark Scout, played beautifully by Adam Scott. he's such an interesting character, and his reasons why he wants to forget what he does, you know, when he's not at work, is such a personal connection, and you immediately connect with that character. It's a human emotion on why he wants to forget his day-to-day life and wants to forget what he's gone through for 8 hours for 5, you know, days out of the week. It's such fascinating aspect. And then you meet the other characters, right? You meet, you know, the Kellys and the Dylans and the Irvings and the Burt. And I'm gonna say it right now, there's a national treasure in this show, and that goes by the name of John Turturro as Irving and my man Christopher Walken as Burt. What an interesting plot with those characters. That's all I'll say there. But it has intrigue, it has mystery, it has drama, it has human emotions. There's so many mystery boxes. There's so many questions that's being asked about what do these people do at this company? Why is it so protective? Why is this the most intense NDA I ever heard of? But again, it's in the quieter moments. It's when they're in the office, when they're trying to discover what they do. It's so fascinating. It is such a great show. It's well paced. I want to say 6 out of the 7 episodes have been directed by Ben Stiller, which he has done a phenomenal job directing the show. It looks so beautifully shot. The way I'm always a person that appreciates blocking and cinematography and production, everything about the show looks so clean and perfect. But the thing that makes me so scary about perfection is, why is it that perfect? Why are they hiding something? It's just so many different layers and conversations that the show brings to the table regarding just the mystery box and the character development and the arcs that we've gotten so far. And again, based on these 7 episodes, I am more on the edge of my seat with wanting to know what is it they're doing and the discoveries that our characters find out after each episode. So by that point alone, give it a watch. I'm going to dive deeper into my criticism in the spoiler portion, but I will say there is certain elements in the show that definitely keep me intrigued. It's mostly the office-based stuff, which is just so intriguing. Such a great, fascinating conversation that happens when they're in the office, and the development of these characters when they unravel certain things. But then there is an element when they're not at work, and those elements to me aren't as engaging as the office stuff, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. But overall, again, for my non-spoiler portion part of this review, watch this show. It is so worth your time. It's 7 episodes so far. They're about 58 minutes max, about 40 minutes on the shorter end. It's such a great binge, and you will be hooked on this show like I was. I started on Friday and I caught up by Saturday. I was engaged, I was invested, and I love this show. So that's my non-spoiler review, and I'm gonna leave the last half of this review just kind of catching up with all the people fans of this show as far as the 7 episodes. Full spoilers ahead. So again, if you've caught up, we're all in spoilers right now. So episode 1, like I had mentioned in my non-spoiler review, meeting Mark. And when you find out why he wants to forget what he goes through when he's not at work for the 8 hours of the day, that he lost his wife, which we will definitely be talking about episode 7 when we find out who his wife was, Gemma. But just learning that piece of information to me just automatically made me care for the character. Like, wow, like, that's so sad to hear that he wants to forget the grief and wants to forget the wife that he lost because it's so overwhelming, so overbearing for him, and it just makes you more fascinated. Like, okay, what's the other reasons for these other, the one thing about the show, I mentioned it, how like the outside stuff hasn't really like, it's good, it's intriguing, especially now with, you know, Mark, his Audi, finding out more about the company and after what happened to Pete. But I really want to know, like, okay, what was it that made Dylan want to do this? What makes him want to forget the rest of his days? Does he not love his son that we met a couple episodes ago? Same with Irving, and obviously, you know, we got the reveal, which I'm going to break down episode 7 when we get towards the end here, but Burt leaving the company. I really want to know what was it that made these other people want to join this company, and particularly Helly. She is so fascinating because when you see her, I want to say it was episode 2, when her Audi is, you know, walking with Milichik, and he's talking about, you know, you're doing a good thing. Like, the way he's talking to her, it makes it seem like she is like very integral to the company. Like, maybe her mom or dad or someone like higher up is, you know, worth the company. So I'm very intrigued by her, and she's so like, she doesn't want to be there so much as her Audi. It's just so interesting about that character. And speaking of interesting, that episode when I thought that they killed the character off, that was like extremely, like, really well written. That episode was fantastic. But getting back into it, as far as episode 1, again, I was immediately hooked. I love the characters. I love that concept of, again, letting yourself, like, there's literally essentially 2 people living in one body. There's your Audi and then there's your innie. And I love how, as the season has progressed, especially after episode 7, the discussion at hand, people at Lumen, the innies, they're like we are two of the same. I don't want to be here. I don't work here. What does it say about the person outside? And just the conversation of like, they're two separate people, but they're really the same people, but they have two sets of minds. Like, they act different when they're at work. They act different when they're out of work. That to me is just so interesting. But diving deeper into the minutia of Lumen, what is it exactly they do? We found out about the goats in episode 4 or 5, and like baby goats, and obviously the mysterious numbers. Is it something that involves the goats? Is it something about the recycling that they're doing? Like, we know that OD, where Bert and them works, they're rebuilding hatches, they're recreating with like a printer bottles or what have you. So I'm just so fascinated by what are they creating, and why do they have to go to these extreme levels to make sure that people don't know what they do, which is just so fascinating. The black goo, what does that have to do with it? It's just so many like mysterious aspects, even outside of the work, where we learn about Mark's sister meets the young lady at the birthing camp, when we kind of learn that she's married to a senator, and she didn't remember who Mark's sister was. So you're telling me that they're severancing outside of Lumen, so you can like forget certain things outside of work, which again is just like so interesting to me. Is like, how many other people out there are using this program to make people forget things? That's so fascinating. In the conversation too, just even more on an intellectual conversation, how this kind of relates to in our real world, my body, my choice conversation, and the different corporations and the different people that don't like the Severance program. That hasn't really, again, going back to my negatives, that aspect of the show hasn't really been as fleshed out. Like the people that don't believe in Severance, like the why are, again, Donovan and Irving and Helly, like, what do they do when they're not at work? That stuff hasn't really been as fleshed out as the inside the work stuff. So I hope that episodes 8 and 9, I think it's 10 episodes, they explore that aspect. But at this point in the season, do we really want to know what they do outside of work? It's very interesting. I don't know if there's going to be a season 2 based on the unanswered questions so far. I would hope we get a season 2, but going back into, okay, I'm just kind of at a rant now because I'm just so happy to be watching the show with you all. And again, I will be reviewing this. If you all want to welcome me into this community, I hope to review the rest of the show and have these deeper conversations. But let's talk about episode 7. So after everything happens, Dylan, he gets his interaction outside of work. He finds out he has a son. And by the way, that episode when they're dancing and all that stuff, that was just like ex machina for me. It's like this show just went to another level for me. It's so fun, the way they integrate the comedy and Rickon's book and all this stuff. Again, I love this show. But going back to episode 7. We see that Donovan, he snaps, and they get the key card. Obviously, we know that the head security guy was killed, which, by the way, how did they know that he died? Did they have a transmitter on him? Did the woman that used to work for Lumen, did she mess up? Did she not get rid of the body? Did she, I don't know. I'm still kind of like, how did they find his body? Neither here nor there. They get the key card. Obviously Bert's leaving the company, which again, I love Bert and Irvin's relationship. And I love when, Irvin, after all this whole season, he goes by the book. He doesn't like to break rules, but as the show went on, let's burn this motherfucker to the ground. I love that line. But going to the big reveal, we see that obviously Mark wants to be in this relationship with a doula lady. I can't think of her name right now, but he rips up his wife's picture. Oh my goodness. That reveal, that slow burn of when he's taping the picture together and it's revealed to be Mrs. Casey. Oh my gosh. Gemma is his wife who died in a car accident, but yet she's here. How does that work? Are they cloning people, or did they bring her back to life? Did she not die? Like, what's going on? I love it so much. Again, there's so many things that I can just break down, but I don't want to make this a 50-minute review. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to find out. Like I said, if you all will welcome me into the community based on liking this review, leaving your thoughts in the comments, really engaging with this, that I will be back to really kind of break down the 8th episode and give you theories and all the different stuff. But right now, I'm so invested. I'm so hooked into this show. Like I said, the only criticism I have is the out of the work stuff isn't as engaging as in the work stuff. The slow, I would imagine it's going to be a big reveal. Like when it comes to, obviously we know that Harmony is working with Mark's wife and taking care of the child. So there's going to be some big reveal. She's going to probably find out about the wife. She's being severance and they're severancing people outside of Lumen. So that's going to probably be a big moment. But right now it hasn't hit me quite yet. But everything in the office is just so fascinating. Again, the performances, the writing, I love the camaraderie that they have built in the office, how Helly was like such an outsider and, you know, outsider, now she's an insider, and how they're working together trying to solve what's going on, the mystery box. They have the key card now. Man, Dylan's probably my favorite character. When he bit Milichik, I think his name is, that was so funny and such a great moment for that character. Kind of, you're seeing them break out of the box, and who they really are as people is starting to shine. It's starting to come out, right? So I just love that progression of all the characters, and I'm here for it. So again, I'm sorry for the disoriented type of comments here. I just have so much to talk about with the show to catch up with you all, but I thank every single one of you all for recommending the show, for hitting me up. I'm here, and if you all want to talk about it on Friday, let me know again by liking, sharing, and commenting on this review, really engaging on this video, and we can be back talking about this. I want to say there's 10 episodes. If not, I know there's an 8th episode. I know there's a 9th episode. So at least for 2 weeks, if you want to have the conversation with me here on this channel, let's have the conversation. But neither here nor there. Appreciate you all watching this review. Again, if you can like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, come and join the community. I appreciate you all. Hope you enjoyed this discussion. Hope you're staying safe. As you can see on the screen now, subscribe to my channel. Check out my other content. We'll catch you on the next video.